Good evening. Apollo ni kemwe ni bane koniwe. Oni msakwesi de do now to Helibanja na na. Ya na no. Oni Apollo le e bai shike ya na da. Oh e bai shike ya na no. Hey, I want me no me. If you're just tuning in, I would like to extend my special greetings to you. Quite especially if it's the first time you tuning in. Whether I chance on it or you did it on purpose. And so we're tuning in and Hemaa, I mean my bush for and my baby for your mouth at us. Then you could say dear BIN and they are fire dry bedroom of my Ghana. It's making sure say also the one no ebem because some money and na yet children. We call being a man can be there one go cry. As I know I have false witness. This is Daniel. Now this week he as usual made over call Mike and someone SC our money must on this and I may your salt. Those who share us and some common and quay and not some very story be a Kawakuma pan up as a Kawas. Ubo me punu no more, Miss Mabejo. Number now the Bebo Premier 0208 1448773. Sure, so bet unique in Namente Wonka. Now you call and stories or say a crab train shuttle bounce back. Yet now what she and I say, Angel, now you can now what you mean be next month, October was so many brilliant for so many. As is their train shuttle. One more car say a woman walk around their DSC, your time has come. Yes, where do you do for a commission? The woman confesses to faking pregnancy and kidnapping. Please for mercy. When you now so when you made and a command, me cry, man, banner you song as well. Emma no one to them knows who's our banner crying to pray, who's pass pity. That's a pity, no, with the ass. A month and not be your father. Now me was so and I'm a quiet pussy for catch us police place 50,000 Ghana city and bounty on a robbery gang. Then I pussy for I don't put work as they say about it. I say MMDCE should be elected and not on president's base. President Akufo-Addo sack Western Regional Minister. Osi Gomwa West confirmed. Now Koso Court and crime Mantema or say Accra residents apprehensive as the capital recorded 4 daylight robberies in 1 week. This year there's a Ghana so 10 crime pie and the young Indian as Uncle Damango a hundred the Hoberto. Now we him now got to Ghana in gray and crime memodia. Yeah, a 224 and robbers. I'm Papa back or no, the mayor. Now you call financial ways, why financial market or say the city depreciated 1.7% to the dollar in almost 3 months of 2021. 1849 that would digra internationally. This year, no, we are dear Beckham will be almost your mid city and family who dollar and a question of family. But don't forget, say, and your man out one, so you will crumble now to all those people who prayed and son, I am from Jews. Beckham. We no brofu and I said the country boy say account 99 account. MMDC is in Emma Beya and Obi Amwa Abba House Abba explain is there. Oba we church remedian tia president nominees no for yendino no ya chenabo timam voice no he's been rejected. They are not. We need some pebble and I beg for you the pebble. And now I beg for Obetio Monka, Obaya, Oba Bruni, Oba Coco, Oba Nukuno, a year, Mr. Quati, or see on the electricity for Omuni because of rather my demo should be an and I'll buy our fun lecture. So buy for them what M's and Sena buy papa it did your fum and Danny Becum so now buy up for year. Yeah, we see end of pay now. The way you come up ba papa na ni musu ye joko bwa no e na yi kani nyina aya samiama the colinda eat without much I do. I'm running part time check is 24 past 24 past 5. I'm not beg your 4 actually I'm not just one yet. It's really best start say Samiama.
Yeah, no, good afternoon.
And how's your day been?
Yeah, it's been okay. What's it been?
Yes, it's much better.
Okay.
Pacho,
Hello. Try 1 2 Salom Kano.
Microphone was
Oh, sir. Loud.
No, yeah, it's a bit of a glitch.
Oh, Salmon. Okay.
You swear now, maybe say no better. Yes. How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been okay. It's been okay. I'm here doing it.
Until one cover panso, a producer, Mr. Mamento Kawa has it. Obaya. Hello. Now, how's your week been?
Okay.
About mental count microphone is your man.
And yes, I be a so tune.
Wala bolo Yesu. Wachemele ye mana, yangale no nyame boy. Apolo ni chengwe ni bane kuni wa ye kuni wa ishi. Oni apolo le e ba ishi ke ya na no. Wachemele ye mana, yangale no nyame boy. Apolo ni chengwe ni bane kuni wa ye kuni.
Oba, young son Kobe.
Hello, what's it mean?
Said Mitchell got a crowd, but it's still faint. Producer, so me to me, Hemaa, now, saying, Shabiana, or Ghana, no, I'm setting for a few. How was Ghana?
Oh, Ghana was okay. My uncle for the uncle for holiday, me call for obviously a year, so the circumstance is completely different from Akaba.
And so it's your phone and the messages in the minimum was that kind. And I was out for some young Johnny I was a Canadian. I was up for
and the Amman.
Or did you say was out for the tree? I can't was it could be a bed so far as I was out.
But the Abanom first can my
and as I mean, and I want you dear also.
Baby, are you okay? Yeah, very okay.
Right. Now, this week, there's this story here. Touch on. I don't want us to even start the program. No, bra. So our story, no. Yen touch on crowd. What is a COVID testing? And this is kind of an international way. Let's be a bar. Yes, said Ghana, Siciano. O test it Ghana, Nasa Oba. I say, Shazan, papa. Unsa can story we are now.
So, test no, any papa.
Say, if you are vaccine, I mean, so vaccine, I mean, the vaccine. So we are vaccine, we are vaccine, or Ghana, Nasa. Oba from say UK release and some countries here, over vaccination, I say, due to move up. Now, about our Ghana, so you can not. From what I can gather, I mean, say UK. Donate vaccine Ghana, US is also donate Ghana. Now the question which is coming up, even this week, we say UK and US also donating. We said time now vaccine people are a bit apprehensive, and I'm going to go for money brain. Now, CC about out, does that it kind of goes to confirm for speculation or what does it? Now, one donate. Vaccine a brand I've heard them person catch say vaccine no money to I said na asem no I say papa meaning say what was our story here
Right, me some countries, the UK, put them on the list, but me Manchester, Ghana, eka those countries, no. But I assume say Ghana kahua. I mean, of course, the problem, no, is mainly because of the trust in the system, no, with the way vaccines are administered, no, and with some of the stories that are coming up, people are saying some tested positive and negative, and people are making some allegations about bribery going on in the airports, and even say open any positive is a negative test now certificates now over to me any negative test certificate. I think say all of those things are feeding into why the United Kingdom, but to ask me, kind, I'm not sure say Ghana I can't listen on kind, but if that is the case, and I think that might be the reason why because it's not about the vaccines which have been given to you or donated to you by another country, but it's about how the systems now were in place, the implementation of those systems. So if someone says, or vaccine, say you're vaccinating, we know there is very easy to, check that, and mainly because of the card now, to indicate say and of course it goes through the national health service system, no? So the problem is not really, to be quite honest, about it's a trust issue. It's not about the medicine whether but it's more to do with the trust issue, because if the trust is not there now, then you wait to make organize can say we are positive and say we are negative. Wait to me up at all for positive, no. Sorry, for negative, no matter certificate, no, for that, no. And I think that might be the main reason. But the countries that they mentioned, I'm trying to remember these countries. If you look at the countries, then I'm afraid, some of them obviously the African countries. I think, say if I'm not wrong, now there was one Africa in South America, the one country in South America with Bisa, and almost one with the account, and you could see clearly say, is more to do with the way I'm tempted to say the way the countries are corrupt, and therefore you can understand why the United Kingdom want to do it. But I mean, the sovereignty of every nation, of course, it depended on whether whatever they tell is obey. We agree to it or not. But at the end of it, I think the problem is about traveling. So if a idea will be they have that sole responsibility to make sure they are protecting their citizens, within that country. But I don't know. I'm hoping, say, and this is some of the problems. And if systematic failures in countries are causing some of these problems, now the West also, in a way, I blame them for it, because they were talking about the vaccines. I say 100 million vaccines I bear expire in November, and they're now thinking, because before then, those vaccines they're somewhat destroyed, because obviously when it expires you can't use it, and they haven't actually come with a plan because it's our vaccines almost ship across countries that are less able to use it. I remember I heard the former Prime Minister Gordon Brown on TV when he was advocating, said this is something that it shouldn't have been something that we got to the point where we even discussing it, that the government should have thought about it. Well, so they sometimes help now countries now who can solve more problems now who here help. They don't get those help. So the systematic failures that you're saying, why things are happening like that, and sometimes also it's the West also that caused it, in the just a small sense of it. But I will see. I don't know how they will implement it, but I'm pretty sure this is what is going to happen. I mean, going forward now.
Obaya, so I don't know whether you've got anything to touch on this one.
Not very much anyway. Me and Kasa maintain that particular bit about, but I think you mentioned. I think we had a conversation where you mentioned it, and that's when I heard it. No, but I think Sammy has touched on it. Said like it's purely to do with the corruption. I would have thought anyway that would make you think that like it's not possible. Said like you don't trust it. But I would have thought say the medication came from the UK to Ghana in the first place. So are they? I'm assuming said the thing said that probably some people might have the proof that they've done it, but it's a fake. They haven't really been vaccinated anyway, so for that reason they are doubting it. But I guess you can. I guess if you are trying to be sort of careful anyway, you can't really knowing some of the things that happens in corrupted countries and stuff like that. I mean, the Ghana and Kwana. How many countries are we talking about? Is it 3 countries?
Oh no, it's quite
It's
a lot.
It's
It's
quite
quite
a
a
lot.
Yeah. So then, I guess it's just obviously it's what they know to make them think that like it could be that some people probably might say that they've been vaccinated, but they haven't been. But for that reason, they don't trust the system anyway. So yeah, but actually, I mean, I don't know whether I mentioned to you, somebody but like they charge me, maybe also chose I pay for extra on money,
Yeah, you said you
which
did it.
which was I mean I don't even what I couldn't understand was probably it's my own fault anyway, but I don't think going, I didn't feel so like there was anywhere that says that you should. I didn't see it anyway. You should have it with you. So you have a card or something that proves that you've been vaccinated. You've done your 2 vaccinations and you completed it. But yeah, when I got to the airport thinking so my day too because I'm already fully vaccinated. Got there and obviously they said so like
And you're talking about Ghana Airport.
Ghana airport, yes. I got there and yeah, and then I said to them, so I've already done I'm fully vaccinated, so I've done my day 2. And they says, okay, then we need a proof. And I'm like, oh, but I didn't know that I was supposed to have a proof. And I didn't have any choice. The gate is about to close, so I have to pay 86 or 89 pounds for the day 8. And it comes and you don't even do anything with it because I don't need it. And when I came, in the afternoon, I called them and they said, so they've already dispatched. They can't do anything about it. So basically, they just dispatch it just like that. And obviously, they don't want to give you the money. So I got the 8 vaccination kit that hold them out. It's not used. So I don't know whether it's
You can donate it to Ghana.
to one person.
One person.
Yeah, but it's not. But it's not. It's just a COVID
Yeah,
test.
COVID
So
test,
yeah, it's not
yeah.
like mobile vaccination. But anyway, so yeah, I guess it's the whole idea of it's not trusted. That's why they're doing that. Whatever they're doing. So yeah, as Tammy said, and I totally agree.
It's here for Mr. Obaya Amaye, the recount of the experience or say do Ghana now. It is all here maybe in the next few days why you say call Ghana. And I said, depending on where you're coming from, if you Ghana nearby you can have making sure say read the small print, Also no one kinds also on your proof. Now want to be over £80 and for the 8 test, Ananka only cry. Moving on. One story for the past few days from last week and about you can as a yetadi woman on you sit takaradi woman confesses to faking pregnancy and kidnapping, pleaded for mercy. Also the missing pregnant woman, 28-year-old Josephine Payne Mensa, according to source close to the ongoing investigation, has confessed to faking the pregnancy and kidnapping. A mobile telephone number used to call family members to demand a ransom was actually registered in her name, and the police also says she did not anticipate that the end result will be to be that massive. Say, you cry, you walk with her at the home concern. I say, you na story no o kan kwa yem se be che papa no maame ne kunu ene ne maame and papa no crumple there o say onim no se ne no ko hospital but onim po se ne re nyo them on ne re te onim se ne re nyo right from the beginning when the woman came up with the story never ever did it cross his mind say the story need a fake untold about out say maame no say as to why it hasn't been stated. But my first our story and fan started by so dear say why about penny with your idea. Now I am mommy. What do you think say a bema obi out to her? Oba out to her what fake it set onion Na o demand sika and sika kesi be 500 Ghana to start with. 500. Do you think that then Pana, what are the possibilities and looking at the terrain? Ghana send you in your Mabama will beat Soria or snow minium 9 months. I must say a room for you know, we are just about for you. Everyone is on more in or when you is opening with them.
Yeah, I mean, I read it when I read it. Well, I think I didn't even think about the ransom. I guess it's two sides to the thing, isn't it? So is she doing it for the money wise or whatever she's doing it for? Then the second of it, so it's the whole idea of why did she fake pregnancy? And that's like because I think any so anymore, but also who any documentation saying say like anymore whatever it is, but to of course with no one whatever it is. I don't know whether she felt so like because remember 28, so I'm assuming it's a girl and so anyway.
The girl now, from the story, no, the girl, no, she is 28. Girl, no, 28.
28, yeah. Yeah, so I don't know whether there was pressure on her to get pregnant, and I mean, I don't know. So that's why she started the whole thing. But she says obviously she didn't know so the husband will report it, say she's gone missing, and so then I'm thinking, so no, I'll try to be behind her. Say, but like I don't know, so I'll try to because there's no baby to show for at the end anyway. So if that happens, I really don't, I can't really make why she did what she did, whether it's for money, for money, and I say she did it based on the fact that she's struggling to get pregnant, and she used that as this pressure to get pregnant. And and I really, but then what is not good about this whole situation is that there's people around that they're going through these issues, and I say it's affecting a lot of women at the moment. I see a lot of incidents that happen before I teach more money, whatever it is. It just doesn't look good. It makes people doubt those people that have gone through that issue. You know what I mean? So I really can't understand why she did it. It would be good to know whether she did it for the money or she did it because there was pressure to get pregnant. But it's sort of honestly, I don't. It's a sad situation. It's a bad because I've saw on Facebook, Papa now or discover no the baby who and also on but will be a mobile one, but obviously it's all for show. So yeah, I mean yeah, it would be good to know why she did it in the first place.
My main concern is so I know so you're Hemaa, but obviously you are dad, so you might know a little bit about pregnancy based on one of your family. They never buy my meeting because from the story what we've read, yeah, quite the pregnancy test because even says when you pull, I'm say in the process of kidnapping, and I know say is it BCEG, that's the hormone, the pregnancy hormone. No, so even the onyamna akwalane po miscarriage still like stays in your blood more and also your system for some time and some if you no pregnancy test na yeah then na bema obi adwen is it because of lack of knowledge so when him say yen to mention na say the call when you call a hospital wa ko na test na who say must na ya ko do say ampa menyem must have a second one ampa menyem probably third one as what would kind of push somebody to that extent because even if it's money they can endorse 500 Ghana is money, but it's not money.
Thousands.
500. What do you think? And also buy a taxi, maybe say there could be pressure. In your opinion, then the Bema a penny, meaning so a trainer, a quiet Saadi.
Yeah, Namdasi. The story, no, I mean, when it broke about 2 weeks ago, I think, and we picked on the story here, and I remember one of the things that we did say in regards to crime in Ghana, and obviously the hard on that we had on with the police and the I wouldn't want to say police, but we were very hard on the police in terms of how crime is fought in Ghana and the lack of resources for the police. And I think it exposed a lot of problems that the police service were facing and how it could be resolved. And I think we did discuss that. Even last week we touched on this story without knowing the full details of it. But of course, when these sort of things happen, you base your sentiments or your comments based on what you also have been reported. So in a way, it looks like some of us owe the police an apology on this specific topic. But going to the details of it, I think for me, there are two main things in this story. One of them being the cultural perspective of how we do things in Ghana. And the second thing is about criminality of what the woman basically did. And it's so difficult to separate the two about the crime and the culture. And mainly because we back one, Ephraim one, you can't tackle the other. And I'm talking specifically about this case. Let me tackle the crime aspect of it, and because I touched on the police, the crime aspect of it is now obviously the woman has been arrested. And if you think about it now, rightly so, the rule of law has to be allowed to prevail in this specific matter. And therefore, some kind of punishment has to be leveled onto the woman. I don't know what the sentencing will be on these sort of specific situations causing public panic. I'm trying to. They haven't charged yet, though. But if they do charge it might be something that it probably should go to prison for it. I don't know what the sentencing guidelines is for this specific case, but I'll leave the punishment aspect, and then I'll bring something into this discussion, which I think for me is more fundamental to all the things that we're talking about. If we want to actually go deep into understanding the mindset of this woman. And I've read stories on social media about people, lambasting this woman about what she's basically, the panic that she's caused, in Takoradi. And of course, a lot of people even in that region are really, really upset about, bringing the reputation of the central western region into such disrepute. But and I mentioned the culture thing that we have. It's a big problem in Ghana. Culture, we are one of a lot of countries, perhaps, that have serious issues with systematic understanding of childbirth and the difficulty that women actually go through with that. And I've also grown to understand, not on a personal level, but on obviously having a balance between being in the West and knowing and understanding how the system works when it comes to some of the difficulty that women face. But in our culture, we are so backwards when it comes to oba untimi sebi untimi enwo. And we always jump into the conclusion, say, almost every time, that problem, your bad problem. And therefore, society or the community put an unnecessary pressure on the woman for the woman to be the sole responsibility of childbirth. And it's a cultural problem. And I have seen, say, if you want to understand this woman's psyche and the thought processes and wow, it led her into making such a decision, you have to condemn the cultural backwardness of how we see women that cannot give children and have a child. And of course, in the deepest sense, Nana, it even goes beyond that issue, and it's also a system of how we don't even sometimes accept, say, you can actually father or mother a child. And I think the culture, we haven't developed to that level where we see these things, say, is not a problem that you can even see, say, who the pressure will be. Because for all you know, and I don't know deeper into it, if a woman goes to her mom, and the mom accepts, say, and based on the story, mom no accepts, say, no. Say say fake say and none of that just to buy something. I don't know what the intention are in terms of the final aspect of it as to whether could enkofa akwala bi say but I don't know. We don't know what they want to end up in. But I'm only basing it on what it has been reported. Say this is the intention that they have. And Nana, it is a massive problem because Nimami has been someone who perhaps has been at the receiving end of emotional bombardment from the daughter. And the problem that she probably might be under, the pressure that she might be under, and I'm saying this in not say it true, maybe from the family of the husband or from the community that the lady is basically residing in. And therefore, that pressure, because she did mention, say, she felt a hard change of the way her husband treated her from, in a way, supposedly a bad situation where the relationship wasn't working properly until when she got pregnant. Because she actually got pregnant for 4 months and she lost the child. And she lost the child in the 4th month. And that's when she thought, say, look, if I have seen this change in my husband and now the love is super, why do I want, do I want to end this? So the psyche of it, and all of that led her into this decision that she made. But Anna, it is a problem that we say, how do we end up as a community culturally that we put so much pressure on women, when in actual fact sometimes the problem might not necessarily from the woman, but it could be perhaps from the man as well, that we put so much pressure on women to lead them or lead this specific woman into thinking like that and acting this way. So retrospectively, say Jane will say, how did we end up like that? And it's because of the way we treat barrenness as a problem. Because it's and I'm trying to look for Yarabia and yes, about you are growing up and now when you're HIV. Okay, let's say HIV. HIV, there's a stigma around it, but I want to see something that there's no stigma. If it's on your typhoid or kidney infection, and therefore your kidney infection has got to the point where and everyone knows what kidney infection. We don't seem to see that as a problem. You get the support that you needed to go through that. But as a woman, say, and say you have problem with childbirth. Now the public get to know her. The people within your family and somebody be and the agony. You have to think about the deeper roots of the problem that this woman has went through. And that is why for me, I don't think this woman needs to be punished. Of course, if you look at the criminality aspect of it, it brought fear. But it's deeper than the fear or with the community. But it's more to do with the psychiness, the emotional problems this woman must have. And I don't know, maybe I'm not exaggerating. Maybe I'm just saying it out of the experiences that perhaps a lot of people have actually gone through.
Just being right from this to show, so just
and that tells you, say, it wasn't because about the money. For her, no, it wasn't about the money. She has faked this to the point where she knows that she has to deliver now. The baby is not forthcoming. At the 9th month, 10th month, whatever month you are in, but now you cannot produce that. She has to find a way out of what she's already placed herself in, which is now faking something, which of course she didn't think through and expecting, say, I will just go away. What you say? But I'm saying, Anna, the problem, no, and your woman, no. Yes, she has done something wrong, but the problem is within ourselves, within our communities, within even the state. How support system that needs to be in place for people that, because if barrenness is just like will be with disability, it's just like that. It's not something that anyone should have to go through, mental trauma and torture about it for the person to feel so low to the point where say or resort to in taking some harsh and drastic decision just to save face within the community that the person belongs in. So we all should bow our heads in shame, because it is a societal problem. So this is something that this woman has brought us to the level where we have to think deeply about it. How do we treat people when they're barren? Or how do we, sometimes it's not because you're barren. Sometimes you can actually have a child, but it's just medically, if it makes it difficult for you to have a child. And even that alone, you see a lot of people putting pressure on the woman as if, say, what sheda na oh yeah you get a point that I'm making. So for me, I think this woman should be supported. I think yes, the law should kick in, but it should be a slap on the wrist, something like okay, a punishment. Say, wait the bonnet, we give you a fine or a community sentence, say something like that, because you need to go deeper into the thoughts of this woman, and you understand what she has gone through. And there are a lot of people that are suffering in the country with very similar problems. They haven't taken some drastic decisions like these, but very, very similar problems. And people even end up to the extreme level of stealing babies. And it's mainly because of the pressure, the cultural problems that we're having with childbirth in Ghana is what is the root cause of this.
Is it not interesting, even with our religious leaders? And it's good you brought this up because I don't know, years back, I don't know how many years I could count back. There's this Nigerian woman, because this seems to kind of be around more of the African country. Power, enter, power, enter, power, enter. I don't know whether you've seen this. Mommy, a married woman. Soon to me, no go home, no. Sis of Buana Manao to the extent that an uncompleted building now, she might be a natural table, so now shop for needs to say a baby. Not send or the mammy, and not to say arrow. And this is just one story. We know so many stories. Even the traditional leaders and leaders like religions like Christianity, a soft one, Christo, a soft one, Yinano, put to meet them confoy dada. And even traditional leaders, or money confoy dada. Say obi kobai jama is not something we just so our culture. However, no, and Obebians wouldn't do that, but because of childbirth, they would go every length. Send a bear or wo ama or dia at set or mukune mo nyama as or bema ren or muko, abaso. Minimobia or one casani mammy bocasan is all best if you are baby as an hour no for sure. So baby,
I don't really get it.
And it's a very common saying, within communities, within families. And Ukwawaria says, yeah, now worry 1 year, 2 years, and then that you haven't actually been lucky to have a child now. Then you start the Cassandra kind of from saying. Yeah, but me bro from me bro from saying. Who country? Me can't choose who country. You can't bro from
gossiping about you.
Well, yeah, about this. Well, Cassandra is not gossiping, is it? All right. Anyway, never mind. You know what I mean. And the situation where then you will see people actually making comments, and directly say, and things like that. And it happens so many times. And if you are even not lucky, you live in a compound house where I'm telling you where your neighbors are will be almost pento kweni bina. Yeah, the bay and I remember there was this when we were growing up, there was this lady that she was baby. I mean, she died. Eventually, she died. This fibroid kid. So and I only got to know this because when they grow, we didn't really understand it properly, because she was married and she never had a child. And we obviously I got to know it's because of the fibroid that basically make her on the inability for her to be able to have child. But woman it's more than kakra ye diagon no unim na no uboko ekoto no ha ade bi obeye wo no. And as a child around that time, no, obviously you didn't really get a message, but you hear in for any year woman, no, and that was who can be. And when we were playing football and all of that, and I say now, oh yeah, no, why else? But you see, and it's a cultural problem where even as a child you experience these things and you thought, say, it is something which is quite, okay to actually you need those sort of things. You obviously be and I think, say, the opportunity is there now for us to have a conversation around it. And unfortunately, I'm not hearing these conversations on TV. Anyway, I haven't followed all of it though, but I'm thinking, sir, what needs to be discussed? Yes, the crime has to be discussed, but on a very, very lighter level. And the deeper level should be how we normally make people feel to the point of where they feel, say, the only choice or the only decision I can make is to fake a pregnancy. And if unfortunate for her, she even followed it through, she probably will be in a position where Obago to Akwala. And we know, I know about who we are, Akwala. And we know these things, they do happen.
Children in hospitals.
Exactly. They do happen because there have been series of stories and reports that have come through say this is basically what but it comes back to the point I'm making about how we make even the adoption system in Ghana itself, the difficulty that a lot of people will probably even go through to even have an adoption. Even if you adopt a Kolampo, so and also become exactly, and so there are so many mix in this story. And for me, I think say this is an opportunity to now bring this sort of discussion into the the front page of the media, and for journalists to pick these up, run through it, and story, and let us have a proper debate on it.
Yes, see, so me, I must say where the culture. Do you think some men are yen sentence and in what dinner? And I ask some describe it or see a man a slap on the wrist.
What you mean like?
I see in culture, sometimes when it comes to women and infertility, Ghana, the Oba, a women, there will be any problem. Or baby, be any system more dinner. And so, you are a man of Muzuba. I didn't go cry to be pedanity, where they had the inside, but in pedanity, but a whole result on the function of man anymore. Man, one. It's my mental time check out the movement, 6 o'clock. Number 88, do you think that mommy, young funny too, and I say in you soon? Say as a starting point, you're educated Ghana. Let me know where you think. Number no frame 02081448773. I met you also. Obaya.
Yeah, well, then I just thought I'll put this across anyway. Even though it's like, yes, first of all, I think some psychological sort of test to find out what possessed it to do, because it could we said 500 is Jessica. I mean, she's saying something to make the whole thing happen, whatever. It's a Jessica. I don't think that that's what she was trying to do. Obi oya crime, Ankasa. They wouldn't have used their own. I mean, we all Derek, if you have some investigation program on TVs, say using your name and never track it to your name anyway. So all this kind of put him so on your beer or crime because the man will be said and it wasn't right. But what I was just thinking, they said like maybe I would say a slap on the wrist and just let her go. No, it's the problem I think I have with it, and I don't know how they would like to, the police service would like to take this anyway, but I just think there'll be a lot of copycats. People will start doing this, and unless you make sure say yeah, dear, it's unfortunate because she's probably going to be the scapegoat, as I say. But so my against sentence and now my BIS so simpler. It assumes that more people will do the same thing. People will start forging these things. So I don't know whether there's a happy medium, you know what I mean? But I just don't know, and I think that I feel like also first of all, finding out what made her do what she did. Because you can tell that this thing is not, it's not a crime that someone that's thought about it properly is doing it. But the fear is
he's really thought about it, but as to the rationale behind
exactly. So be our why now you said I do the yet to excuse you but me by this song we were planning ahead 9 months. But the pure baby, she didn't think about it in that way. So you can tell that 500 years ago, I would have thought it's also 500 is cow, but thousands, So but I also think now. So if there's no consequence in it now, then I feel like we will see a lot of these things going forward, because there's a lot of women going through this problem, and it's happening a lot in Ghana nowadays. A lot of crime, like people are being killed, especially pregnant women. And before I came, there was a meeting, but I could quite say a girl much and it's like I do more pen much and that's it, and it's happening a lot in Ghana. So like we are trying to obviously stop it, but we don't want to encourage people just faking these things because it discredits those people that are going through, and I said it throws the the police service into the wrong direction, waste their time and stuff like that. So
I mean, with punishment, of course, you have to punish, but you see, even in similar crimes, they weigh in the law of circumstance. That's why there's a discretion with the judge as to the sentencing for the guidelines. So there's a range between a severe the minimum into the severe. So when it comes to punishment, the interpretation of it, obviously, will have to be the judge. She won't have to be punished in a way. I don't think for this specific issue, and I'm telling you the reason why. They say, the end game now, unless there is another plan that she had, where she was thinking of buying a baby, or she was thinking of stealing a baby for some. If those intentions are there, say that is what the end game is now, then you have to punish those intentions, because it's as good as she has actually committed those crimes. But if it basically stopped at the level where she now gave up about the whole thing.
Because at the end,
yes,
the plan is that we lose a baby.
Exactly. So that's where she wanted to basically end it. Because maybe she's got to the point where she said, I can't sustain this because I can't go through to now go and look for someone else's child as my child. So maybe she just gave up the whole concept of it, and she wanted to normalize in a way, and she ended it in a way, in a very silly way. So yes, there is a crime, because you put public fear, you create those of panic, and there's a crime. But I don't think the mitigating circumstances around it. And I speak about the cultural things because I know nobody is going to look at that. When you go to the court, they won't say it's a culture. We're putting pressure, so but you have to think about that, because the psychology of the person, what leads her into that. Was she even being abused in the relationship where the husband is being abusive, or because was the other extended family are having those sort of go ahead, so a lot that goes into the mix. And until we actually understand that now, I see punishment as the last, because look, what would be the benefit of putting someone who has already, because even now she's being punished indirectly, but she can't even go out anymore. Everyone knows who you are. Oh yes, of course. I mean, it's cool, and I have no doubt said she should feel the full pressure that she's feeling now. But I don't think prison sentence will serve anyone on this specific issue. And I think a case like that have to be merited based on this specific case about a specific individual and what the person must have gone through, for her to take a very horrible decision, to do that. I mean, and I heard a husband saying, he wasn't aware. And that is also a bit, I know he wasn't aware. I'm not doubting that at all.
What the woman said, according from what we've read, woman said doctors kind of advice
No, but the woman didn't say so in that, because say so in the bed or share attire to cover it.
No, from the story,
Yeah.
Let me read
Doctor have advice for any intimacy. So the guy couldn't get closer in that kind of field.
Oh, okay. Anyway, maybe I got.
After, let me read that.
Yeah.
After her confession, Josephine asked for her husband's forgiveness, and so she has since been placed in police. According to the police statement issued today, the suspect, Josephine Mensah, confessed during the investigation that she was never pregnant of the kidnap. During the investigation, it became clear that Josephine's mother and husband were not aware that their daughter and wife were faking the pregnancy. The husband told the team and psychologists that he had never seen the wife's protruding stomach before, and that she had even warned him that doctors had concealed against intimacy.
Anyway, I mean, this is the woman's the man's side of it. Okay, but I read some aspect of it which the woman was in her confession, and one of the things that she did mention, say she covers up when they in an intimacy. Yeah. But you see, and this perhaps goes a long way to some of the things that And in as a man, you have to feel the pregnancy of your wife.
But
You-
Ghanaian men don't think about those.
Well, what do you mean they don't think about that? Are they not humans?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
they don't think about that.
I'm just
Eh?
saying,
No, but it comes
you
down
want-
to the cultural side you are
Yeah,
saying. Who
it's-
said
So, untimin
They
entache
don't- it's not like you
funo.
can't do it, but it's not culturally. Like they don't. Ghanaian men are very different from obviously being in the UK, where
No, this is nothing to do with the
they
UK.
don't-
I mean, are
they
you
don't-
telling me say? The name mean person we can't say it's too early for what I was about to say. But I mean, look, honestly, I'm not having a go at the husband in any shape or form. He's also been deceived about the whole thing. But 9 months, you don't feel the pregnancy.
No,
You don't
because,
touch the
especially
pregnancy.
Someone will, I mean, excuse me to say, well, someone that they don't. Those, yeah.
But I believe him, by the way, that he didn't know. I have no doubt, say, I believe it. But I'm just saying, say, I mean, he and okay, yes, culturally, we are talking about the same thing again. I mean, what is so nice about Onyema,
Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Line no papa. Caller, what's your main come?
Hello, Hemaa. Good evening from Ghana.
Yeah, Patrol Manenko.
Hemaa, Miss Markini.
Yeah, Manenko.
push it.
Hemaa, me that say, make Marka say so far, Mitia, what's already before a team for dinner, and then share on Facebook. You said more discussing about the type of issue based on lady now. No, I say I want you for Namanta, you call so things about market. I was something in but your other correspondent and I'm pretty well. The other stations they want to carry well. We really any guy didn't come up. But the way things are now. Mimi sushi muno as a reporter na here kasa wa here. Ono sometimes okodo somebody producer if you are leading before the if you are the pregnancy ya ha no ko so won timi mo bibia based on that no and not two the na me so ya say as a opinion say how can a minister give 3,000 Ghana cedis to kidnappers and say one year now one child leading. So for me in the reporter I'm watching children not until we are saying many guys that sign on say also one after the cover that side from the minister say if any say or almost so get one because I said when you say or in my upper Ghana so which would be all requested for 500 Ghana cedis that, which is 5 million Ghana. Now also remember 1,000, which is 1,000 Ghana cedis, but who wants to go be at 3,000? Let's say, and never be any from the again. I can't say, oh no, I need to be fine, but and never be one. I was saying, you also to me to school year, then you should be because me other side never say. Say police from Ghana say we are doctor no that omuko kumfa ke ne kwa na test ne die who say Ghana oba had ma Ghana no minister wa pa had bebre obo na ehwe security wo obo no no so we saw the bia na we are ebe follow order na even oba Kumasi America say si wo me say as to the minister issue be back no that say the address issue by say no or no command no so for police for one go say is an order. It is a minister of continue but say oh get it a fake no yeah no then source from the media but also upper hand so you get to be a police for job let the see and only assembly say the be a bit me I also here because so get issue no on your man say the blue I was be the Ghanaians also to was na Emma for we because when you say go for like I said I'm the new minister because some of them are going to and as a minister, I was of a camp. You know, and I was saying, we can use, and I said, before 8 was it. No matter as a municipal, because I know two, usually say, or you might get a bishop for the Sika. Because so we are almost sick at the year, almost for the year. Now, yes, again, as again, if we can answer me and the hot channel, it's in the Kurana, no bishop for it. In free idea, and also another way also because two minister never could charge 100,000 and again not up a day.
Yo, Bismarck, General Mame. Seven dear Ghana, Ubutua, when he coach Amansa, Eshemua, when he Santa me. Sir, a semi ebai, what do was so to talk from no? Said, while waiting the studio, I be more Casagana, your culture, as if you're about 1 war, homes and some area. No minister, I mean, him say, will be a background upon team for Faba Bontis, or play politics with human life. What to say, no, and say, young boy, a young five quite do no young family no call to the a dear pa, Nebema, obi, said be Najun Mudaho. What about the fakey? A dear and not a rabat just for no, not official.
Yeah, I told him, I don't know, maybe did one of course, like I said, we case, you know, minister about one thing, we said, and yes, I said, yeah, no, again, all per day, because two others episode for Infino, and I look on Infino, and a banana, I been looking at the Mali, a baby say, Tintina, I was all pepper at the man, and I said, well, let me be on my Hemaa. I was saying, because we shall I was pop, I would must say. Now, before we break, I say, said a moment who said, dear Nino, and only also a show. And not too so, Obama, who a bearman of Banima, I did be a roll of vanity, a bearman of Bunzo, lady on your mapa. Well, if you are opportunity to sue, or better sounds, also a man with a man who was sent to go here. If you go to a generating what's not, if you're sorry, Sabia home, area. And some of them will say, oh, I dare a one man of the Papa will be over the audience. And she said, that man is so long, and we said, they are also unique, so never man come to forward the air, or my mean to me, but to me, as a reporter, I look my idea. I'm a listening from different angles. I will say to me, it's in the potential we because civil man, and maybe to me, as I mean,
Yo, Bismarck, any for when near dear tree, for my idea, Bissibiano, now they are boy. Nancer, I'll call where the one talk for my dear Necosmook, must say, now what you.
Well, now what you know, Kumasi, I know, it's you told the wouldn't say they are, go for fee, the government complaining, acquire, titulu, contancy. If you are going to buy a contract today, there's also the bill Honma or Munti Chabot, and now you move to him. Or went to me at the point to do the school. Our own bridge is a hollow and so too a rebel. Say a rebel party, if you go back to Marsilia, I also part of the Benny and our ship. Now, Osaka said if you to power. Now, we become myself in so routine. Everyone knew come, son was a sound as I did local human. No, so you say, oh, shut at the other side, and if you feel everybody, I will say what I don't know. Say, white idea, I don't know brown, but the future homes are panel. I said, you should also pass a cast and I don't know, say, free at those your cohorts for another, as also Elko, if you say, I touch about what the team will be there by Luke Martin. Yes, I don't see a summer. Now, also, we can Munana, a good for the ball, MMDC for Sudi. Now, again, Cobiano, will be 100%. You know, actually, when we judge off there, with my say, or no one MMDC here, you go here to the shower and make us say, or him only or Philip or to Tiana. So we're not to test for a very good also. There's an anti anchor.
Yo, Bismarck, you better was into ready. It's here for a year and now singing Bismarck. Angel FM no butu a ene ejuma na wetwa obey hu de for ni ne de okoso e wo Kumase ititru Kumasi atonsu motemo wone MMDC elections here koso Bismarck koso etie biem that's the net now the reports no abre that's how papa it's here for a citizen that you could say and if Bismarck na etie ne nka no mamenta wonka do you think say esema ekosui assembia like I said or say mami Oba yeah they all say you're punishing the pies I bear copycat people will copy it so when Oba yeah Adriana so on yes answer so Mamenti won ka number near be if you did not to me 0208 144 Anyway, they're moving on to the next story. Or say MMDC should be elected, but not on partisan biases. A member of the partisan basis. Or say a member of legal team of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, Abraham Amaliba, has said the Metropolitan, Municipal, and District Chief Executive should be elected in Ghana. However, he said the election should not be based on partisan basis. He was speaking on the key points on TV3 and 3FM with host Jifa Bampo on Saturday, September 25th. This was the Deputy Minister of the Local Government and Decentralization and Rural Development, Osei Bonsu Amwa, has said on the same show that the move to the MMDCE election would be revealed. He said, even though broader and stakeholders consulting have already been done, others who are yet to be contacted are going to be consulted to submit paper on the move. It's a sad story. Last week he touched on that, and as the release of a MMDC, DC for you or more about and listen about one thing. Yet see from last week said there's a lot of demonstration. Places be like Accra, and some places in Kumasi and other regions. And you buy say Asemia be I didn't cry the politics. Na jaima timemfonse near to abana. Now I think that this is one of the stories that are interesting something. And when I because I list the number out and we had to walk across. And we can say this week here, and for me, my first story is that so I know so I know where you stand, but for the benefit of it here for Oma, especially Oma, last week commitment tuning in, and that's will be tuning in for the first time. Do you think, sir? Only Ameliba, Jane say, MMDC need DC nada you know. Yeah, politics in free one na upon teas, you know. Election what's your thoughts on this?
You know, me that say. Well, I mean, you know what my view will be on this specific one because it hasn't changed since the last time we had a conversation about this specific. But before I actually move on to that, and I think where I'm glad in reference to the story, you know, is the reporting of violence or killing of anyone, you know, in that because there was a threat of violence last week. Yeah, that some people obviously were not happy with the appointment that the president has made, and some of them were not very popular. It seems to be say they've been imposed on the community. So I was a bit worried, yeah, and I even actually predicted it would turn, you know, like that. That would be a lot in fighting, in a way. I mean, for now, the reports that are coming doesn't necessarily suggest something that severe will happen. Of course, it's early days as to the aftermath of it, where some people might start showing their displeasure with the decision of the president, you know, as to whether that will result in an electoral defeat. We are yet to know that one. So I would say yes, the process has gone smoothly, and that has been good. But I think, as Maliba said, the MMDCs and the DCs, you know, we need to rethink about the processes that we use for that, and until we get to the point where we make um, local governance responsible through election, sometimes we will end up having the decentralization that we want, becomes a bit difficult to implement, because Usha, the idea about decentralization is a responsible is a democratic responsibility at the lower level, where if you have a leadership at the lower level, no, there can be some bit of independence about the way government project is or government thinking is, and what the community will basically will want, and therefore sometimes when you have district chief executive or municipal chief executives who are more or less elected by the community now, the idea of them working for the community now is actually greater compared to their working for the government. Of course, they work for the government, they work for the community in the sense, but they are responsible by the government, and they end up having to do things to tone the line of what the government want them to do. And for me, I think say we need to now reconsider that. Now you're elected. Because even if we leave the violence aspect of it, the partisan aspect where it turns into, all those things, maybe the best way to get them to work properly and be responsible for the community now is if the community elect them to be where they are. And our advocates, I think that there has to be some constitutional change in the way appointing a MMDC and a DC, because I think it's a good way of going about. Now, the other aspect of this, which I know as it's possible you probably have been thinking about it, is the consequences, the negativity that it can also bring, which is if you have a situation where a district chief executive or a municipal chief executive, because the MDC is another DC, so there you have the district chief executive to MDC, and both of them have been elected by the community, but they, because we know it's non-partisan, but how the underlines go, where political parties will so influence people to go and so let's have this debate where someone who is there who does not ideologically incline towards the government of the day, and they might want to work for the community, but in a very small way people can associate them with the opposition political party. You're going to have this problem where also the government will, in a way, use unknown powers to punish the person that is leading, by withdrawing a developmental project, because exactly, you withdrawing developmental project, and of course, because the funding, when it comes to funding, government has they can't do anything about, because the funding that has been allocated for those districts, and that whether it's a ring fence basically, so you have to get the funding, but it brings about lobbying. So if government want to perhaps implement a project now, exactly, they might be thinking, okay, where do we actually go put a project in, and therefore we have to be careful. Do we put a project in someone who basically is fighting us all the time? So it will, in the beginning, we're going to have these sort of teething problems. We decide that we implemented something like that, where the conflict will arise between people that supposedly are thought to be someone, but I think it will be transition, where it will take some time for the clear understanding. I hope, I'm just saying that this probably will happen. It probably will not happen in the politics of Ghana that we are, but I think that it will probably take some time to the point where government could be trusting district chief executives or municipal executives to the level said that independence will be allowed to work effectively. Because if it does work well, then I'm telling you, it is the best way of governance, a responsive government, representative governance that you want. This is power to the people sort of thing. We have elected you. We want you to work for us. If you're not working for us, we're going to vote you out. We bring someone else in.
Well, this question again. You know how Ghana during election, the campaign, and I know you've mentioned it in problems there, but even there will be some kind of power influence in terms of and rep way now, even electing or representing this district assembly, Oh yeah, the background and then party no free. So does that mean it's a project way because our district we and I said because our district, which probably they can influence it. That's one problem of this, one side of the coin. But don't you also think say penny for every election I demand is that kind whatever not based upon that and not comfort to a gun of wire to Obama some part of politicians be after that 4 years kaya be about drew 3 years and 99 days now I want to have a deal no kaya where they left don't you think said that's vicious cycle is the same thing that is even going to happen when we decide to vote with the DCEs and the MDCEs. The same thing is going to happen.
I mean, those lapses in politics, there, it's always going to play. You bring it. It doesn't matter. It will happen to the point where non-performance. Then you go, but it is a citizenry responsibility and the electoral responsibility for an electorate to make those conscious decisions. You have to now get to the psyche where you're not going to be influenced by people that come in at the last hour to tell you they can promise you God. So it is because that responsibility, will always have to be making that decision. And again, speaking about that will be an education thing where the NCC will also have to be equipped enough so that the understanding of what election means for everyone have to be very clear. But I'm telling you, for now, the sort of election that we have, these things that you mentioned, yes, they are there, but it's at the bare minimum level. And it only usually happens with elections where electoral college system. So, for example, if they want to elect a representative for who will go and stand for the party, there's going to be an MPP or NDC for more year, and because if you're dealing with the electoral college is about, let's say, 2,000 people, it's very easy to bribe 2,000 people than bribing the whole of the community. So it's less of a big problem at the level of the district or the level of municipal, because if you take a municipal area like Cape Coast municipal area, this is a massive population. Who are you going to be able to bribe? All of them? You can't do that. So yes, you see these small, but I think so. Look, when it comes to these sort of things, the electorate will have to be the one that you have to be. You have to know who you're voting for. You don't have to be influenced by.
Constituency, right? Would you say the sitting government or to me the Numa power because of buying or bet from the same on your man before the election and now it be a matter about manona. Do you think that you rather want somebody from that political party to be your DC rather than having to be a war position? Every as our lobby will be influence, every that community need the say with the example we NDC for since the MPP in our power. Do you think say you rather want an MPP who is a certain government so better now now say over people opposition party every crowd you be say MPP person we hear no say onye na dwuma yie enti omomo
The moment there will be some that question. I would have thought like the best option is that you electing one person the audience over the right person for the place. But we Sammy mentioned anyway, or you also mentioned say like at times they can get influence as well. And someone said they all know really and person belonging to a different party. It's more likely say he's not going to get anything than on their area, that community, and whatever they want to do in that side. So this it is a difficult one anyway, because I would have thought that the best thing is like I elect. But I think the one that will work is having somebody from the current sitting government to I'm saying that purely because I know from another party, because of the way we work, it's going to be difficult for them to actually do their job anyway without getting things pushed forward to get things to happen. In terms of conformity areas, so many people influencing or more, whatever it is, it will be a difficult job to do, because I think at the moment we need a lot of education in anything that we do anyway, because even on the government level, on any level, that is something that drives people to vote. You know, people are doing a year for that moment, short term. They're not thinking about the long term. If I voting, no better may grow and that's going to mean anyway. So that will be difficult for me. Personally, they will be pushing for things to push for, to win. You are going to, a lot of people are going to support them because people are coming in for, you know what I mean? So yeah,
It's good you mentioned about education. Let's look at the way education works. You fought Ghana on the international front. When we talk about democracy, you could see said Ghana, especially within the African continent, you don't compare other African countries now. You say even Abrafon who said, yeah, dear. But say if you come inside to look at the nitty-gritties and pay attention to details with some things like what we are discussing now, even if you take about the MDCs, NDCs now, we know what happens in terms of what is going to happen, the development which is going to happen in one electoral area and as a one district, based on who is the DCE or and his or her affiliate to the certain government. Do you think that there's been, based on this, there's been a lot of education, Anna? And do you also, if it hasn't, do you think that it's something that politicians are kind of trying to avoid so that the electorate will be enlightened? Because kind of what is there will be a casa and no be a pocket journalist, be a no. But do you think that these things, almost said down or may at one chance and a bay kind of one or many NBA so that they can push in terms of say I face the country for your demonstration, we go for your demonstration. This is by we are Muslim conform out like I say or mumpe. But as it's we stand now, me who say and penny for a year education be about that for people to understand the nitty-gritty. What do you think is happening in that context?
It's very, very true anyway. I think so like if you think about the whole situation so wouldn't be maybe and I will best like we are educated enough to know say when you A B C we don't BBR and I make be influence or make me there be actually meaning left, right, and center. If man provide that knowledge, then you don't know anything better. You see what I mean? And I think sometimes you can say a dear one bro reading. Yeah, their presence bro. Because most of them at times they use money, they use their power to influence people. So this kind of amount now the bay money is kind of they be also depending on no so what I say every month be almost kind at least they be ultimately control views. Which is sad anyway. I think it's like we've seen a lot of things that has happened recently. It may fix the country issue that people have said to fix yourself and all them things. It's good. But I must tell you, Nana, so like this conversation, they happen in a very kind of in Ewokrum more. Like it was Accra, Kumasi, in those places. I was talking to because he's my husband's cousin. I don't know, like it's a born off region home baby or wherever it is. And some of the things that he was saying, so like you think that by now you might simple things like malaria, you know what I mean? People think say like it's spiritual. Some you know what I mean? They just malaria, you think say Indian say malaria, no. You think say the way some places also call you no. No more things like we all know say by now the Indian say we there. This they have a more attached spiritual side to it. It's like you'll be surprised what you think say as I say but really the other places are struggling. They don't really encourage as I say Accra, Kumasi, some places anyway, but it could be bad. Still education, it needs to happen. They say if you don't know what I'm going to do to you, and I say keep on every time I'm being better on your man, obviously you're going to depend on me. You wouldn't want anything different anyway. But bro, because I think that's why I think it happens in a lot of countries anyway. So like the less you know, the more I can actually influence you. So yeah, it will be difficult to I think that I don't know. So I'm hoping that this free education system here will be about go school. Anyway, I'm hoping anyway. But I come to so hard today. And at times it's because when you go to Ghana a bit more often, at times you want to say an education but it should help all these situations. But a common comfort, they don't think about these things. They just think about medium and then one. They don't think about the long term. So
I say a common do now be what? Oh, a channel there now. Next week
I'm telling you, some
people answer why be now.
Some people come to Ghana, right? 1 week, 2 weeks, I'm from home. So I don't know how they survive in this country because it can move so fast. And so it just a come Nana, a come the go for no Kakromo to no more crazy.
Ebiana come no.
Yeah. Who this guy was, you know, I mean, you know what? You go to some parts of Ghana, just called when now, Kuma. I would tell the man can say, who this guy was a Ghana get it? Who is the guy? I mean, this case I'm saying, the Marco for you join Ghana as well. So, my first thought for 1 minute, I
think sometimes because our lifestyle has, you know, in a way ascended to an expected level, you end up overspending, and it's mainly because you can afford to overspend. So you go down and you spend a lot because everyone is relying on you. But only on Obianim will be at the same level. Into people less, they don't come to you.
They don't have to manage them. They manage themselves very well.
Yes, they do.
Because you can't manage the money.
You can't manage because the expectation is quite high, and a lot of people are reliant on you. But the sort of income level that you are on, if you are the same income level in Ghana, I mean, you'll probably be like, oh wow, this is paradise. You know, but they manage quite well. You know, if you think exactly the small amount of money that people are earning, some people are as low as 300 Ghana a month. I mean, how is the person expected to survive with that?
For our time check at the moment is 39 minutes past. Morning said you Macobina and Soya Snare. Now it should be a Jimmy bro. Ain't to be charming home about Menko baby.
Are you looking for business solutions that will serve your needs? Look no further because Custom Advisory is all you need. Custom Advisory is a unique advisory firm that provides specialized solutions in tax and business planning, audit and assurance services, company secretarial services, corporate advisory, corporate training, tax policy advisory, charity registration and accounting, gift aid for churches and charitable organizations. Provides a cutting-edge software solution tailor-made for your firm. Locate Custom Advisory in the UK, Suite 4, the Generator Business Center, 95 Miles Road, Meacham, Surrey, CR4 3FH, or call us in the UK on 020-840-81520 or 078-867-15702, or email us at info@customgroup.com. And in Ghana, locate Custom Advisory Suite 5, the first floor of the Zerka Plaza, Tetebu Junction, Southeast Ranger off the Kaswa Highway, or call 0249-700-075. Custom Advisory, the delivery of excellence redefined. Custom Advisory.
Trinity Driving School, your #1 driving school in the UK.
Did you know that they're equipped with professional driving instructors who will teach you to pass your test with ease?
So, if you want to pass your test, please look no further.
Contact Trinity Driving School on 07507 116997.
Trinity, safe and responsible driving.
You're listening to WhatsAppradio.com, the coolest station around.
Sisi ya Ghana, mwenu ayeshi, papa. Ezu ni sika osi edronye. Ebi munti. Esi Ghana oko baby a every baby a heaven. Ebi zuzu di hosi eveni sunkwa. Nyame bechere. Enzu uko no obi atro de ka ho ade ebe wo no enseda. Ebi nso also is before ye bonfire. Ye di aho ding. Yeah. Bring your vampire. I said, thank God. Thank you, Jesus, for protecting my family. But seems I want to grade him. Ghana vampire. I want to not drop. That was just by the way. Into your next story, I'll say Accra residents apprehensive as Capital record for daylight robbery in a week. Accra residents are apprehensive as at least four Broad daylight robberies have been recorded in a part of capital city this week. In one instance, the robber opened fire, leaving the bystanders with gunshot wounds. The robbers in the separate incident made away with a huge sums of money in a haste. The Rambo-style nature of their operation has become the cause of concern for eyewitness and residents. And on Monday, September 20th at Achimota, along with Accra Amasaman Highway, four armed robbers executed the well-planned and coordinated haste. Um, this appeared that the woman from a bank at Abeka, where she went to withdraw a large amount of money. Three of the motorbikers surrounded the woman's vehicle whilst waiting for the traffic light to turn green. One of the robbers forced open the driver's door and pointed a gun at the woman. She handed over the 3 bags containing money to the robbers without hesitation. The robbers quickly jumped behind the waiting motorbikes and sped off, leaving the woman traumatized in traffic. The second incident occurred near the bank of Kwashiman on Wednesday, September 22nd. A man who is yet to be identified was shot in the leg by robbers not long after he came out of the bank, and they made away with his money. However, it is not immediately known if he was being trailed by the robbers or otherwise. According to the police statement, a 33-year-old woman was robbed at gunpoint at the point of 29,000 Ghana cedis. The victim escaped unhurt. Bystanders, however, sustained some gunshots and injuries by the robber as they shot their guns to them. The fourth incident was recorded on Friday morning at Samba Valley near the wager barrier. Similar to the previous one, the victim had just withdrawn an amount of money in a bag when the gun-wielding men on the motorbike fired shots and robbed him. So these stories and I remember last week and in this house we've been talking about securities in Ghana. And as Sammy will always say, we can't stop crime. But this is kind of something that is happening all the time. And this week, please, I release this statement saying only about 50,000 Ghana and they are told for people to home for more eyewitness or whatever. And Via and yet is said bull whatever
Bullion.
Yes, shoot to policeman and so many of these stories are happening. And I know that Sami Akanfia said we can't stop crime. But this is becoming way too familiar. What is happening in Nigeria country? I
don't know whether it's too familiar. I think it's like you say, we're going through a different phase whereby they say, no, come Robinson and come we are there, we
are thieves.
Okay. So what I'm thinking at the moment, as soon as you started the story, what pops into my mind is this is a work within. I'm thinking say the coffee you'll be on Nemo inside, say for this car and like someone must know something from the bank to know all the I'm being a detective really because I just think this crime and it seems like somebody knows what's happening inside that attack what is kind of from anyway. But I think that the government have to. I mean, it's not the government. I think the police system needs to do more. And you much as here with this whole bounty amount of 50,000 anyway. But it needs to stop because they said the way it's going, it's going to get worse. Saying me and put some. If I'm honest in this conversation, I just think that where it needs to start from is a proper investigation because the same group yes I deal with. They need to identify. Now they know who is doing this. There must be something. The people must leave some trail of like things that where they're coming from. There's something needs to they need to know who's doing this to kind of show words. They say yes, they better then it goes on and on and on and on. I just think it's an inside job. I think the police needs to investigate further. We need a proper investigation to know who are doing this because normally in the way we share some of the way the thing is being done, it could be the same group NASRD anyway. They need to think of following them and so now Obi life is taken because it's very serious matter. At the moment, I think that when I went to Ghana, I personally don't feel safe. It's not really, it's not a very safe place to be at the moment because there's a lot of crime. There's some worry, a lot of kukukuku around. Then say, cool, when I went to my hometown, say like one of the guys be of a damn back who say, yes, will be a kunu, ukuna, a baku. Yes, will be some mano, mason job. Can be the motor guy befano, koya, consumer, ya kuga near to the back. It's just all these things happening. We don't know who did it. It just keeps on going on and on and on. And that's a crime that you hear a lot going on at the moment. People being killed for whatever reason. And then obviously the crime of is driving, is working very much. And that's happening a lot in Ghana.
Mama Kosame, so I know, sir, you always say in this house, we can't stop crime, but we to some extent we can fight it. And I know, and I'm kind of reiterating and the things you kind of put up, say, in terms of policing and the resourcing. Yesha Ghana, first, the kind of crime and I like a buyer kind, say we are better, sorry, maybe I'll come now, chance in your manner.
Be happy to hear. Sorry, it's one of our neck and that. Sorry, chasing my own chasing. You said, sorry, if you don't get not told you. And he has so many will be a different the whole that time the end of another. And Rafael or credit for one that upon you be a chance.
And those kind of crimes, na first one, I will be able to our time. We say, this time they don't even want the TVs and Tanya man is moved to another level. Obi baba fear about TV this and first one. Yeah, to them, that's not what they're looking for. They're actually looking for the cash. And do you think, say, in terms of crime level, the way any economy, the sophistication of even the ammunition and the technology now, the armed robbers now, the bad boys, are the police matching that? Because it looks as if, say, God, why didn't why? How comes that within 1 week? 1 week, crime akesiye said, and it's not like Bakusi war, Kumasi na Bakusi war, another region. They are all within Accra.
Yeah, let me say, I enjoy thriller movies quite a lot. So
the Rambo
yeah, Rambo side. There's a movie on Netflix as we speak. One is called Heist, and the other one is Gangland. I will encourage you to watch the Gangland one. It's a subtitled one. They acted it in Belgium. I think there's this guy. His films are wonderful. He normally acts a lot of crime movies, and it's a series. Which is, if you are not a fan of series, then forget it. It's just one season series. And when I saw I just finished watching that movie today, and it's fascinating. I don't want to give anything away, so just if you want to watch it now, you might want to.
Too much. I can't watch those things.
Yeah. Anyway, now and I brought this in because of I've seen two videos on this robbery. And Anita did mention about the similarity of the robbery. And I think the police will probably be studying. They have this word that they use in policing, or is it perhaps in criminology, modus operandi, which is like the style of crime is very, very similar. And if you the style of the crime, so their style you can see clearly say. And I can draw, because just by simply looking at that, it looks very sad. The two crimes, most likely will be perhaps be committed by the same group. Based on
your movie and how you portray.
Well, yeah, in a way, but I've seen a video of both crimes.
Yeah. But is it not interesting that these kind of motorbike, obifi, bank, and even this video came up. CCTV was there when the same thing. It hasn't changed.
That's what I'm saying. the two crimes, this specific crime, about the hijacking of the car and the way it was hijacked. Now, if you look at both videos of I don't know if you've seen the videos too. If you look at both videos, they are very, very similar in the way they actually trailed the car, and obviously someone opened the door and they get it whatever they needed from that. So what I'm basically saying is it does appear to me possibly the same group of robbers are the one that did both crime. But Anita also mentioned something which is also very important, and I'm pretty sure it's something that the police will be all over the place now trying to get some intelligence from, and this is the issue of the inside job. Now Anita mentioned, but you don't need someone working in the bank to alert robbers. They don't do that anymore because that is the easiest way to catch them. They actually have people that are also customers that goes in there to do banking, and therefore they know who is withdrawing what and how much the person.
How many times are you going to go to the bank and wait, personal or better say, like,
Annie, these are criminals. They have time. Criminals, this is their job. This is what they are doing. It doesn't.
To the pregnancy one, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter how long it takes them. If he has to take you doing surveillance for a whole week, because how much money they get? 23,000 Ghana. How many people in a week? Yeah. In a week, you do you kind of say surveillance for, and you get 23,000 in a week. Even if it's shared between the 4 people, 5K in a week. It's a lot of money. So they will have time to do this sort of build intelligence and get to know who is withdrawing what and how much the person is withdrawing. I'm 100% sure that this is the way they normally. I'll be very surprised. It will be someone who works in the bank that gave that information about who is withdrawing. I'll be very surprised because now, as you mentioned, the sophistication of crime now is moved to a different level. The idea that they wait for someone to tell them in the bank, say, if A, B, or C, they withdraw, you don't know. I think that they've moved on from that, and they will actually be having individual customers just open a bank account, goes in there, or even not even having a bank account, goes in there, and because how many times would you go into a bank and be looking at whoever is there and why they are there? You go to these big banks, a lot of people come in and out. You wouldn't know. You definitely wouldn't know. So it's difficult. But now it brings in mind one fundamental problem why robbery, specifically about banking robbery, where is still happening. And it's because we still haven't been able to digitize our system in an effective way where am I having a problem? Now, all this money that is being withdrawn, you go and withdraw 23,000 Ghana, or you go and withdraw 50,000 Ghana. I mean, why are you carrying that sort of transaction with you? Why are you carrying that amount of money with you? And it's the answer is very simple, as you will know. Transactions are always done with cash, and you need the cash for transaction. ABI can supplier be a demand. They say on fact, they supply whatever product that he or she needs in the store or whatever it is that they have to do the transaction for. And I'm very happy when the vice president some time back, he was so focused about digitizing the economy and making sure we are moving into the card system. Because how many times do you see 50-pound notes? You hardly. You hardly see we doing transactions by exchanging physical cash in that nature.
We are in a completely different. COVID has even pushed that back completely.
Completely, but this is where because when we started with the Momo system where money is being transferred, fantastic, and it works so perfect now. So you can basically transfer some money to a bill within seconds, So we have some sort of system in place that is effectively has taken place.
It's working, but it's not
but that's the thing, because it still needs developing. I agree, but the system needs to transform into digitization, because if armed robbers knows no one goes to the bank to go and withdraw that sort of money. there was no need for any armed robber to go in. I'm not in any way saying the armed robbers are right or but I'm basically saying that the opportunities are there too many times
So the
for
problem
robbers.
is, even when that happens, they do find a different way of
Yeah.
getting money, because now people do money transfer and they still steal money.
Yahoo,
They call you and
But that is easily traceable, because if you because the digitized thumb printing of where the transactions go is easy to follow. When the cash is scanned, that's it. Apart from if there is an evidence of CCTV, you will not be able to trace cash. Absolutely zero. Even Chroma tracing cash is a big problem, even though they all have serial numbers. It's even so difficult to say where to trace where cash goes and where it doesn't go. But the point I'm making is if some of these crimes, the sophistication, and it's going to get seriously more sophisticated, because I mentioned gangland and I mentioned the highs. All these movies that you see, the criminals have access to them. They do watch. They do watch a lot of crime movies. They do and everything that you see happening in movies now. That is the sort of thing that they always learn, and they practice it because it is effective. Who wants to fight a criminal with a gun? Nobody. No matter how macho you are, the moment you see a gun, you have to give it up and allow the criminal to prevail in that circumstance. So sophistication, we're gonna get even more sophisticated with crime, and the police service have to follow suit. The resources that are needed to fight this sort of crime, have to be government-led. The government needs to inject a lot of money into the police service and give the police the opportunity to be able to fight this sort of crime. And yes, sir, because we are even lucky there's somewhere now the police can work from. I don't know whether it was a CCTV that caught one of it. The other one was a video that someone actually did the video. But this is the beginning of looking at, okay, even though they cover their faces, even someone's body physique is easy to trace, to know, showing it with the right quarters. So Aqua was say, Aqua we have a name, baby, those sort of things. So we need to get real, with proper crime bustering approaches, and fighting crime in that sense.
I think I asked what you've touched on it. I think it was at the top of my whatever to say. It's just obviously talking about the gangland program. You say, while the criminals are getting stronger and building up wherever it is, you also have to have a strong system to fight this anyway, fight the crime, and that's what we lack. And it was really what just came into my mind right now was the Fix the Country kind of also demonstration some time ago, and the police Nakasa crowd that would have benefited them. Put that back and obviously work for whatever reason it never happened. But that would have been even be good for them as well in some way, because that is also kind of trying to get them, the police, help to even push the government to give them more, give them the support that they need to be able to do their job. At the moment, crime is not about just with this kind of gun back a crime more center or baby or wherever. It's you need to find a different way to fight crime. It has to be stronger, because these people are getting stronger and they're getting stronger and getting more sophisticated, as we said. They're getting more ways of obviously covering their faces and being able. But as I said, we know here in America, wherever it's actually how this crime, it's about so giving the power and giving the police service more sort of training resources to be able to, because it takes time for somebody to do the study, to see the style, everything they do, but you're moving from where it all ends and all that. And also you need a good CCTV that sort of capture all these things anyway. I mean, Kumasi somebody you have a bohom, you say bohom, you used to say I saw that. So that's the thing. Telling people telling people so they have a bohom, but it doesn't work the way it's supposed to work now. Then we are failing. If you want to be able to catch this crime, stop this crime now. Obviously, the more you fight, the more they're going to be more, they're going to get more strong, and they're going to do whatever. But you always have to be a step ahead. Without that, you're not going to go anywhere. We are not fighting and suddenly, about kung fu or whatever. It's these people come, they say motorbikes, We most of the time the police service use more sort of their cars, we use but they say these guys are using motorbike. Can you chase a motorbike?
I think that it's good you mentioned that, because I think the police also now, and I'm sure they probably have been looking at it now. They need to start using drones. In fighting crime, because they will not be able, because some of the crime when it happens now, the speed at which they vanish. Yeah, the speed at which they vanish. So if we have an operational force, that because we know we can't afford helicopters and all of that. You know, the police probably haven't got that sort of resources. But simple things like drones, which are are much more cost effective, and the personnel needed for that. Also, we do have people that already are operating zipline. The one that is using for that, so people can operate this thing already. So the police perhaps need to invest in that area as well, because if there is a reported case of crime, of armed robbery in a specific area, it's very easy for a drone to be placed around that and be monitoring and checking where the criminals are going, and therefore feed the information into the people on ground, and be able to fight them much more effectively.
As well that don't wear the uniform. Sorry to cut you
Oh,
short.
they do have undercover policing. Yeah, they do have a cover police. The CID actually they don't wear uniform.
I think at the moment they need to talk whoever the police service, whoever protect the country, they need to work properly together to be able to catch all this crime, because they like they are strong. They police crime, and also know there's corruption within the police service. There's corruption everywhere. I mean, I mentioned yes, it could be the banking, you'll be a winning who be or inside or whatever. It's but we need to look into this system very well, how we can actually make it better effective, because crime and commerce in it wouldn't even last, and we should stop robbing. We should stop using cash. Cash is not really the best, is it?
No, it's not.
It's here for you, Sister Nyanda. So Yani Peter, yeah, brain no I hear brain. Make sure you don't move your dial. Right after this program, the inspirational hour, Ebebro, a year Pastor Cook or the new one, any new one after Sunday, while you're ready preparing you for Monday. It's making sure, say, when you were feeding and baby. And then, and you might discuss here, and we looked at the crimes in Ghana, and to be more specific, Accra. Yes, share mommy just fin or bass or no bad room, or you could so bad, yeah, pepe. Yes, in the pregnancy, no, a fake or no one about one thing about the country. Now we looked at it. Is it a crime? It could be looked at the culture part of this and your Ghanaian culture and the way influencing and thoughts. And to be forcing conform with your medicine. With that, we have create MDCE, NDCE elections, no say CCR. Do we have to go on say you better wapa and not say presidential now baby na that no say cost where are we with development in specific DCE, especially if the DCE on the sitting president the rep when in some in the course, unfortunately I am bringing so it's someone Tim Kabima Midian and Hemaa that's the neck of Betty Bye bye.